Good morning, everybody. It's the 23rd of November, 2015. Time for another edition of Weber This Week here on Finger Lakes One. And don't worry about these snow flurries. Like a mosquito. Coming up Thursday, folks, 60. That's right. Jeff Rook, my special guest, longtime friend, talking shorts for Thanksgiving. Are you kidding me? So the weather is going to change back to the good. And it was just a little bit of a nuisance as I woke up this morning seeing a little bit of snow. But as Jeff knows, having traveled to Western New York basically a long, long time, this is nothing, right, Jeff? Good morning to you.
Good morning, Harold. Thanks for having me here.
Nothing but a few light snow flurries, right?
Right.
But again, the temperatures and for everybody traveling in and out of town for Thanksgiving, and it's going to be a dream. I mean, certain parts of the country may have some issues. I understand that maybe Denver and Texas may have some issues, but here in the Northeast should be spectacular. Jeff Rook's my special guest, longtime friend of mine, back in the Gould's Pumps days. It's hard to believe, Jeff, I'll be out 9 years in May.
Wow.
9 years I've been gone. It's amazing. But enough about talking pumps. Let's talk about It's a Wonderful Life, the 5K run, which you and your committee. And we want to start off by saying, how's it going? How's sign-ups doing? And please, as you always do, praise the people that put this together with you, the 5K run.
Yeah, registrations are going very well. We're a little over, I think, 2,200 already. So it's going to be another banner year, I think. I think we're going to be in that 3,500 to 4,000 range. Our goal is to get 4,000. We've never gotten up to 4,000, and I think it's going to be pretty close this year. The race is December 12th, Saturday. 4:40 is when it starts. And like you said, there's a whole bunch of people that are responsible for making this thing happen. I call it our core four. There's me and my wife, Kevin Korzaneski, Jolene Korzaneski. We kind of, keep things going throughout the course of the year. And then when it comes race time, there's, the police department. Yep. Jim Sidicropi, Finger Lakes One, does a great job in promoting our event. You having me on the show.
Yep.
The Seneca Falls Rec Center. And there's just a ton of volunteers, family, friends, who pitch in to make this thing happen. And this is our seventh year now, and it's been the last six have been very, very successful, and a lot of money donated to charities. People having great times, and just something to kick off the kind of the Christmas season. So it's been going well.
And of course, the only thing you and the committee must worry about is a major snowstorm.
Right.
Really, that would be the only thing that might cripple the event.
Right, which happened 2 years ago.
Yep, I remember.
It was pretty bad, but it wasn't bad enough to cancel the event. We have the town ready to plow right before the race starts, so it would have to be pretty severe to really cancel the event. So we're always worried about that. But you think about 2 years ago, we had 3,900 actually register. About 1,000, about 900 didn't show up. So we had 3,000 actually run the race, but that was probably, you talk to the runners, that was probably the best run. They loved the atmosphere with the snow, and it was just, even though it wasn't easy running, it was a lot of fun, and people really enjoyed it.
It was certainly the most Christmassy
By
of
far.
all the races.
Oh, yeah. All right, Jeff, if somebody's checking us out, this is Weber This Week. Jeff Rook, my special guest, him and his Core 4 organizing and running this wonderful Life 5K run, of course, starting off at the wonderful, marvelous bridge. Jeff, if somebody's watching us and hasn't signed up yet, what do they have to do to get involved?
Yeah, just go to our website. It's a wonderful run, 5k.com. You can register online, or you can print a registration form. But the paper registrations, we're going to stop that. I believe Wednesday is going to be the last day to send in a paper registration. After that, you can register online all the way up until December 10th. So that's the way to do it.
And I love guests that come in and bring gifts for the dog. Notice the hat, folks. It's a nice-looking hat, huh? I love this color. Good golf hat for next spring, and certainly I appreciate that. It's always good to come with something in your hand. Just kidding. Hey, by the way, we have Jeff Rook here. We have tons of things to talk about. By the way, we invited Rhett Taccone, our good friend down at the college, who will be hosting a massive crew of 28 from us coming Saturday. It seems like we're going to have that many people. We kick off our basketball quadruple header starting Saturday. We'll get much more detail. We missed Rhett this morning. Understand something came up that he couldn't make the show. But we're looking forward to the hospitality that he allows the media and the fans and the teams. These teams that come to the college will get an experience second to none. We'll talk about that as we get ready to launch our high school basketball coverage. Hard to believe. Seems like the season just ended about 3 weeks ago. We're back with 25-game slate. We'll get into a whole lot more. And, of course, I would be remiss if I did not talk about other sports topics. Example, Jeff and Jimmy, Jeff Gordon, whether you love him or hate him in the world of auto racing, he has bid farewell to the sport, got a couple of kids, got a beautiful wife, he's got a lot of money. He's decided to call it quits for the basically running week to week. He may go and run individual races. Jeff Gordon finishing sixth yesterday at Homestead. An amazing career. My good friend and a great sponsor of this show, Jeff, Billy Ryan, Cuba Lake National Bank. His one of his idols is Jeff Gordon. He follows Jeff Gordon since he came into racing. You go into Bill's office at the Cuba Lake National Bank, and I stop over there sometimes to chit-chat with him, have coffee. He's got all the little dolls and the paraphernalia and the cars. I mean, loads and loads. He was in Jeff Gordon's RV, and it wasn't one of these $9,000 RVs. Very close to the Gordon family. So Billy Ryan, if he's checking me out this morning, I hope he is, or anybody over at the Cuba Lake National Bank. Sad news for Billy Ryan is Jeff Gordon now has retired. But, you know, Jimmy and Jeff, I'll let you guys take it. A first ballot Hall of Famer when the eligibility is available. Jeff Gordon, second to none as a race driver.
Yeah. I've got a funny story about Jeff
Okay.
Gordon. I've always liked him.
Yep.
You know, I'm not a huge NASCAR fan,
Right.
but, you know, back in the days when we had our car.
Oh, sure.
We used to go to the races a lot, and I think he's been a professional the whole time. But we were out at Michigan one time at one of the races, one of the Ghouls races, and I was with a distributor on the back of the Radmobile, the golf cart.
Oh, sure.
And we were in the pits, and we were sitting there, and we were right by the fence where there was a bunch of fans. And the fans, they started yelling, Jeff, 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 and I was facing them, and they were looking right at me, and they're like, hey, Jeff, 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 and they're yelling and screaming, and I started waving and stuff, and my distributor who was sitting next to me, he tapped me on the shoulder, he said, no, he goes, I think they're talking to him, and right next to me was Jeff Gordon.
That is a good story.
So anyway, but
Yeah.
I think, yeah, he had obviously a great career, and you know, I think a really professional guy, and you know.
As loved by millions, Jimmy, he was hated by not equally as many when he tried to take on and did a very good job of unseating the legendary Dale Earnhardt Sr. during that time when Jeff Gordon came into racing. The pro Earnhardt fans didn't like the snot-nosed kid.
Right.
So it's
Well,
kind of
I'm
interesting.
not a big NASCAR guy, but I certainly don't mind watching a race.
Yep.
But it seems to me that one of the things that made Gordon great during his dominant stretch was the Rainbow Warriors, his
Yep.
pit crew.
Yes,
So
Yeah, it's
you know,
true.
I guess it's a team effort.
it is.
I don't like in racing. It
Yeah.
just seems like that pit crew is what makes a difference because all these guys can drive.
Oh,
Right?
yeah. And it's pretty amazing, Jeff and Jimmy, that you can pull into pits if you got a good team like a Gordon or a Jimmy Johnson or some of the high-level people and put 4 tires on, fill it up with gas in 11 and a half seconds.
Yeah, right. Crazy. It's
Pretty
insane.
crazy.
Yeah.
It takes me 14 minutes to fill my car up at a local gas station. Pretty amazing. By the way, Kyle Busch, if you're a Kyle Busch fan, he was the winner, and he won the Sprint Cup title for 2015. Kyle Busch winning that yesterday and capturing all of that moolah and all of that notoriety that goes with it. It is a Monday morning, the 23rd of November. Hope you all had a great weekend and a little bit of snow this morning, but nothing too serious. We got lots to talk about. What's the status on Scott Schaefer in Syracuse? Syracuse, believe it or not, we'll give you a little tease on what we're going to talk about when we come back after commercials. The last time they were a betting favorite by Las Vegas, and there's woeful year they're having this year, was Central Michigan. Believe it or not, as woeful, even though Boston College gave Notre Dame a great battle the other night, they're an underdog to BC at Syracuse.
Yep.
3.5-point favorite.
Syracuse favorites.
Syracuse is an underdog.
Oh, are they? I thought
Underdog.
They were favorites.
Underdog. Yep, I read it before I came here.
Okay.
Could not believe it. They're even an underdog to BC, who to me, looking at that, their defense played tough. I give them credit. They
They'll
played
win
tough
that
against
one.
it.
Syracuse will win
But
that game.
BC is favored by 3.5 against Syracuse. What will that be? What's the story on Scott Schaefer? I'll fill you in on some conversation with Steve Anfani, the sports director. Get Jim's opinion on should he stay or should he be axed? We'll come back with a whole lot more. This is Weber This Week on a Monday morning as the snow flurries continue to dwindle down. We'll be back. Cayuga Lake National Bank. Bill Ryan and his team for all of your banking needs. Offices in Union Springs and Aurora. A fine sponsor of this show for over 30 years. DA Liquor, Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her great team will find that right spirit for you every time. Tell Amy the dog sent you. Cicino's. Live, laugh, eat well. It's the Italian way. It's also the Cicino's way. Place your order today at Cicinos.com. Locations, Main Street, Waterloo, and 401 Exchange Street in Geneva. The Good Hotel welcomes you to come out and enjoy the revitalization of this historical landmark. Wednesdays, don't forget Ladies' Night with special price drinks and half-priced appetizers. Tap is Thursday, and their chef serves a dinner special every night. The Gould Hotel in Seneca Falls. Steve Wadhams, Wadhams Enterprises, your employer of choice. Proud supporter of this show and local athletics. Bob and Leslie Oman, owners of the Oman Theater in Lyons, as well as the Newark Pilots, a minor league baseball team with a major league ballpark. SenecaFallsCountryClub.com. Awesome 18-hole layout, offering a 12-month payment plan. Home of the toughest par 4 in Central New York. Wilson Press, WPress.com. Seneca Falls. Rich Ricky, my good friend, and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Rich Ricky, Wilson Press, a fine sponsor of Weber This Week. Welcome back, everybody. It's a dog with you in the can on a snowy Monday, but the snow's not going to be around for long. Going to be about 60, they're saying, and certainly we look forward to having you bring your families together and having a good Thanksgiving. We're looking forward to going to Geneva with friends of ours this week, and with Samantha and Izzy and our family. Should be a lot of fun, so hope that you all got some good plans. We'll talk more about that at the end of the show. Okay, Jeff, before we get back to the wonderful life run, some sports topics, of course. Rumors circulating about the SU football program. Jimmy's certainly a good testimonial since he went to school there. Jim has a valid point. Do you get rid of Schaefer and start over again? This is his third year. He's 13 up, 23 down. I think that's a 37% win factor. A lot of close games. Played some major college teams, like you mentioned. Tough, losing, getting blown out. The Carolina State game was a joke the other day. They were losing by 13. They actually were down by 28 with 4 minutes to go. What's your gut feeling? Should Schaefer stay, or is it time to say goodbye and start over again?
You know, I personally, I like him. I think he's a great coach. Mm-hmm. I think, the last 2 years, I mean, you have to look at what happened to him. I mean, he's playing with like we were talking, a fifth-string quarterback.
True.
And they're still putting up some points, too. Their defense isn't that strong, And, games against LSU and Clemson, they look good. But, you're right. It's kind of unacceptable to be a, 30% winner, you know. I'd like to see him one more year, to be honest. I'd like to give him another shot because I just like him. I like his style. And I do think he's a good coach. But, I understand if he gets the boot. But I'd like to see him one more year.
Jimmy, you talked about you being a graduate of that fine university, mentioned that you hate to see the program start yet again, over again, with another coach if they decide to remove Schaefer. You still feel that way?
Yeah, maybe we should have never let Pasqualoni go.
Yeah,
I agree.
Because after 100%. We did, it was, Greg Robinson just buried us, and then we've been trying to climb out ever since. And it seems to me that every time we start new, everything resets. You lose some kids that committed to Schaefer's program or whoever the coach was, and then you go forward. The problem is with Syracuse is that no matter who we get in, if they have success, they're going to leave. Mm-hmm. They're going to go for another job. So the things I like about Schaefer is he's an honest guy. He always use hard nose. That's kind of his style. The kids like him. The kids are not getting in trouble like they were under Marone.
Right.
Maybe I don't know why that is, but I guess you don't see him in the news, and the grades are good. So from that aspect, the program's in pretty good shape. And I like the talent that he's brought in. He's had so many injuries, but he's brought in some great talent. And I think that Scott Schaefer in his third year is going to be better than wiping the slate clean and getting some unknown in here. But the only thing that's different is this the Boise. We had a new AD. From Boise State, who knows a little something about building football programs. And so part of me is like, I'll let this guy do whatever he wants, and I'll keep my head down for 2-3 years and see where we are. But I just can't stand the coaching carousel. Because at Syracuse we're not used to it.
Right.
We had Boeheim for 40 years, and we had
McPherson and
Pasqualoni, and then all of a sudden now we're changing a coach every 2-3 years.
And the AD's name is Coyle? Mark Coyle. Well, according to the rumors, he has not said anything. He will make an announcement at the end of the season. There were rumors circulating around last week about that he's already been looking for a replacement. Those are rumors. However, I did reach out to a guy that we had on this show via phone, Steve Infani, who's one of my favorite sportscasters in the area. Went to Baldwinsville, great player in his own right. Now he's sports director of Channel 9.
Basketball player at Ithaca College, I think.
Yeah,
right?
great. Yeah, went to Ithaca. Great sportscaster. I watch his Orange Nation about every night when I'm home. He was nice enough to come on the show via phone. We had him about a few weeks ago, and I called him yesterday and just asking him, what's the story? The media doesn't seem like it's zeroing in on Scott Schaefer's tenure. It seems like they're not even going there. He said, a lot of talk in town. He said, and his talk show that he does every day, Jeff and Jimmy, he mentioned that him and his team have basically come on and told me that he believes change is coming. That's what his feeling is. That the number one issue, according to Steve, sending me some tidbits in Fani, was the fannies in the seats. You mentioned some of the big schools coming to town. It holds $50,000. They were drawing 36, 35. Mm-hmm. That's unacceptable, and that's something that will be the ruination of a coach quicker than your win-loss record.
Yeah, when you're playing the number one team in the country,
you got to pack the joint. You got to pack the joint. You got to put it on top of the dome. And Jim knows, he went to school there. You pack the place when a number one team comes to town. And Syracuse had the good fortune of bringing these two teams to the dome, and they didn't pack. They didn't sell the joint out. And in one of those games, I think they drew 36-5. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't it hold 50?
Yeah, 50.
Close just under, just shy.
Just shy of $50,000. So according to Infani, that's one of the things that he's heard is one of the things that concerns the administration. Mm-hmm. You don't get the fans in the seats, and you got to pick up the bucks.
I think that all comes with wins. When you're
Bingo.
When you're 3-6, you're not going to.
And I was telling Jimmy last week, back to Bill Ryan, who has been a fan of SU along with Kenny McLenathan and these guys from the over that Cuyahoga County area. There's nobody that follows the sport for Syracuse as these guys do. Right. McLenathan, Ryan, George Jones, you name it, Bobby Martins. They are diehard, 200% SU followers. They go to spring practices. They go to breakfast with these kids.
Road games.
They go to road games.
They host the Orange Pack tournament.
The Orange Pack, one of the biggest events at our club. They take trains to games. I mean, these guys.
What's their thought?
What do they think? Yeah.
I talked to Bill Ryan, who's the president of the bank, who's a friend of mine, and I said to him, "What do you know? What do you feel about this?" He goes, he looked down, he looked back up, and he said, "You got to win, baby." He said it, and he looked at me and said, "You got to win. Close only counts in horseshoes and grenades."
Yeah, the other aspect of that is who do you get?
Yeah, I know.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to say,
but
get rid of this guy, but I mean, what are you going to get?
Especially this year, there's tons of high-profile jobs open.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're not going to get we're not going to get our first pick. We're going to get the 13th pick.
I know. I know.
It's going to be interesting. Is that guy going to be better or worse than Scott Schaefer?
It's going to be interesting as the time runs out. Maybe he'll stay and maybe he'll survive it.
In any job that you have, you get better as the longer you do it. You learn from your mistakes and you see what works. And I just can't see how Schaefer can be that far away when we're playing top 5 teams to in the fourth quarter to within a possession. Mm-hmm. And then you go watch him get blown out by South Florida, and you're like, I want this guy gone. Yeah. But when you step back, it just can't be that far. And we have we have some NFL talent on our team on both sides of the ball.
I think we'll have a decision, guys, by next week, same time. But the end of the BC game and into Sunday and into Monday, a decision. from what I understand from Steve, indicates that Coyle will make an announcement one way or the other that he's decided to keep him.
They got to extend his contract.
Right.
They can't. Next year's the last year of his contract, and in college football, you can't let a coach go into the last year of his contract without contract because he can't recruit that way.
Right.
So they do have to decide one way or another.
Right. It's going to be interesting. So, all right, let's go on to other topics. Jeff, being a Western New Yorker, coming out of Michigan years and years ago, the Buffalo Bills fight song continues to. I hear something in the background. It's the Bills, playing that fight song over and over. Their nemesis has been, like myself, trying to beat Jim Seneca in golf. I couldn't do that. But can the Buffalo Bills finally remove the albatross around their necks from the New England Patriots and finally beat this team in New England? Primetime Monday Night Football. It's going to be about, 25 degrees in New England tonight, Jeff? Maybe a little snow, a little cold. What's your gut feeling?
My gut feeling is no, they won't. I would love to see it. I root for the Bills hard.
Yeah.
Brady is just we were talking before. I think he's the best quarterback there's ever been. I don't like him. I can't stand the Patriots.
But he's got talent.
But he's got talent, and I think he's been the best. And on a Monday night in New England, they were saying things on SportsCenter today. The last time they lost in New England when they were trying, because they lost to the Bills last year in New England, but they took Brady. They weren't really trying.
No,
was 2012.
Yeah.
It's just it's crazy.
I think that loss of Edelman's going to hurt him a little bit.
I think Buffalo has a great shot. I really do. I think they have a shot. I think they match up with them. Their defense.
They're healthy
if they show up.
Buffalo's healthy now, where
and
they haven't been.
They've had a nice. They played last Thursday. They've had a nice
break.
Nice break. So I think they can definitely be competitive with them. But I don't know. New England's had their number forever.
It does appear that way, And as Buffalo tries to position themselves, as Rex Ryan comes into town taking the job, as Jeff remembers, he guaranteed a playoff spot after 15 years of dryness. He guaranteed a spot this year in the playoffs. And that still may happen. Obviously, they're in position to get there. One thing that's ironic to me is the Jets got beat by Houston yesterday, and that hurts the Bills in a way because Houston is all of a sudden playing great with that J.J. Watt, which is an amazing player. Oh, my God. He's coming to Buffalo in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
They travel. They play New England tonight. Then they have an audacity to get on a plane and go to Kansas City, who just crushed the Chargers yesterday.
Yep.
And so it's going to be interesting as we count down week after week what will be the status. I think Houston now all of a sudden playing great football, really for them, pretty amazing. And speaking of the NFL, Jimmy, I got to get your opinion. The NFL went to this big trouble. Parents and every advocate in the world said, you got to do something about concussions, baby. Kids, Jeff reads about it, kids are not even trying to play football anymore because of the head injuries and all the stuff. The NFL reached $1 billion settlement for some of the retirees way back when who got banged up around the head. Now they have this new protocol, which cracks me up, which I think is great. Dr. Jim Seneca, using him as an example, sits in a stadium. Jeff sits in one. They all have a person, I guess it's a doctor, who has the authority based on the NFL new regulations to stop the play, stop the action. Literally, he has a button he can push to the referee, and that play gets suspended until a player who, in his mind, Dr. Seneca, decides that he might have a concussion. Yesterday, I'm watching the Rams game against Baltimore. This Keenum kid, quarterback, who's not a household name, goes back to pass. All of a sudden gets taken by a defensive player and just spun over. Boom! And even my wife Mary was knitting on the couch and said, boy, that looked like that hurt. And he's doing one of these. He gets up on his knees. I'm glad I watched it because I couldn't believe it. And he's just like gets up and it's like having 7 absolutes on the rocks.
He didn't even leave the game.
And Jeff, I've been there. You know the 7 absolutes on the rocks. We would go. My point is, folks, the guy had a concussion. I mean, it's so clear for a guy with one eye.
Where was the guy with the button? He didn't press that.
What happened? Yeah. There's people in every stadium that's supposed to stop the action. All of a sudden, they show a picture of Foles, the backup quarterback. He's running down the sidelines to throw a few passes. Keenum stayed in the game. Unbelievable. The NFL has not made a statement.
I watched that as well. I was watching the Red Zone channel. And
amazing.
And I'm like, this guy's out.
I can't believe
he went down, and his teammate tried to lift him up, but the guy was limp. It
was scary.
And he stayed in.
He did. I thought for sure he was out, and then the next play happened, and I thought it was Nick Foles.
No, it was Keenum.
But it wasn't. He stayed in there. Yeah.
How? And they asked to Today Show. I watched the Today Show this morning. Matt Lauer and his crew. They went to the NFL for a comment, and of course, no response. I mean, you talk about egg on your face. You set up the protocol. You decide you got to invest this money to have somebody on the scene to make a decision, to have the authority to stop the play, which they do. They didn't stop it yesterday. Amazing. Wait till you're going to hear a lot more fallout on this Keenum issue. Go home and check on SportsCenter because I'm sure they're gonna follow this like a rabid dog. And amazing. Just blew me away yesterday. A lot to talk about regarding Jeff. The big event you got scheduled, of course, to the It's a Wonderful Life 5K run. You've been doing it 7 years now?
This is the 7th year.
It's amazing. 7 years. And it sounds like from talking to some of the people that have participated, they always have a good time coming. They look forward to this as a signature event.
They do. It's amazing the costumes people wear. I love race day. I mean, it's really busy on race day, so it's kind of stressful. But just being around the bridge, the hours before and even afterwards, and the people dressing up, and it really brings a festive atmosphere to the whole area.
Everybody's so excited and happy. Yeah. Happiness is really at a high point about a half hour before that race down around that bridge area.
Everybody smiling, taking pictures, and it's just great.
What is there anything different now that you've done this for 7 years? Is your approach more like, okay, we're just going to operate this machine? Because I can remember the first few years, you didn't know how many people might end up showing up to register, and there was always like 10 fires it seems you had to put out. Is this more just like...
It's a little smoother because we all kind of, the four of us have our roles. We all have the things that we do, so we've, obviously gotten a lot better at it over the years. There's always little things that you want to tweak. This year we're bringing in a sound guy for the finish line and for the starting line. We'll have music.
The past couple of years, there's been some issues with trying to get.
There is, you get cold weather, and we rent. In the past we've rented stuff and tried to set it up, and we're not sound guys. And next thing you know, the cold weather freezes up things, and whatever. So we're gonna bring, and it's a lot of time on our part. So we're trying to, just like you said, almost kind of steer everything. So we've got a timer, we've got a sound guy. We've got different, entertainment things going on. So it's more, you're kind of like the coach doing it that way as opposed to trying to do everything yourself. Right. So it has smoothed out, I think, over the years, and
thankfully, because you're talking 4,000 people coming.
Yeah.
You have any reservations or registrations from any faraway spots?
Yeah, California, Oregon. Wow. I just looked last night. Out of the 2,200. I think it's like 350 come from out of state. 350, 400 come from out of state. 23 different states.
That's amazing.
Including Canada. We got Canada as well. It's grown wider. I mean, I think we've kind of, I don't want to say plateaued as far as registrations. It's been kind of flat the last 2 years, but I think this year it's going to bump a little bit higher. I think we're going to be close to that 4,000.
I just think that that's what it's all about when you talk about. Of course, you guys give thousands of dollars to local charities like the House of Concern, but for the community in Seneca Falls as a whole, the way that we're perceived, for people to come from that far away in the month of December, come to Seneca Falls and love every minute of it, is just so valuable to our tourism industry and to our place in the country and the world. And this doesn't have anything to do with women's rights.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And speaking of women's rights, there's a new Benzo Case was in here with Katie McIntyre a couple weeks ago, and they have a 19K race coming up in May that I know that they are hoping it takes off like Wonderful Run did. Did they reach out to you?
Absolutely, yeah. I've been working with Katie and Menzo. Yeah. We're going to try to promote that as heavy as we can. I think it's a very unique race, a 19K. Obviously, there's no 19Ks out there. And
tied into the 19th Amendment.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty amazing.
The woman's right to run, I guess, is what they're calling
it. Exactly.
And no, I think they'll have a great turnout. I think they'll do well, and that'll be another reason for people to come to town and see our town. But like you said, I think there's a lot more people, not only during the race time and during It's a Wonderful Life Festival, but during the course of the year. I drive over that Bridge Street Bridge a lot.
I know you do.
And it seems like all year this year, the past couple of years, there's people taking pictures on that bridge all year long. And one thing I noticed was the boating this year. There were a ton of boats this year. I mean, there's a lot more people, I think, coming through and staying and stopping, and that's a good thing.
And we need to make sure that when they come, that there's stuff for them to do and that they leave satisfied. When they come for the race weekend and for the Wonderful Life Festival, no problem there. It's kind of the stuff in between when people come, like the Women's Hall of Fame. We'd like them to be over at the Knitting Mill in their new renovated facility. But certainly I appreciate everything that you guys, your Core 4, do for the community. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, as we get ready to wrap up, a couple of reminders. High school basketball, if you're a fan, and we know you're checking us out this morning, you're a lot of good fans of the area programs. Myself and Jimmy and Jeff and everybody connected to Finger Lakes One Sports coverage of the upcoming 25-game slate. We get it ready to go this coming Saturday at the beautiful New York Chiropractic College. We had invited Rhett Taccone to join us. Something came up, he couldn't make it. We look forward to seeing Rhett coming up Saturday. Let me run down the characteristics of what's going to be taking place, the timeline. We'll go on here about 10 minutes to 1 in that area. Game number 1 pits the Southern Cayuga Chiefs versus the South Seneca Falcons. I'll be joined by Matt Verkey to my left, and to my right, Mike Alessio. I'll have the play-by-play for you. That starts around 1 o'clock. And then game 2, we'll take on the likes of Geneva High, Brian Miller, taking on a team that Jimmy and Matt have given a lot of love to. That's the North Rose-Wolcott Cougars. That should be interesting as well.
That's going to be the best game of the 4.
That's going to be a great game.
I'm most excited to see that. North Rose-Wolcott expected to win Wayne County.
Exactly.
Geneva, a Class A2 school, traditionally powerful in the East, had a bad year last year. But one of their best players, Marquand Ross, is a senior, and they got a transfer from Bishop Kearney, who was a point guard on their JV team last year, and he's a sophomore, and he's supposed to be very good. And Geneva's very deep. North Rose-Wolcott also very deep and very experienced and played together very well. And that's the one that I couldn't pick a winner, and I am excited to see how it plays out.
And I'll be doing the play-by-play for that game as well. Then we'll take a break. I'll be able to escort and get out of the building and take a nap. I'm too old for this stuff. I can't do 4 games like I used to. Jim Senecropi will pick up game number 3, and then, of course, there'll be the Lions, our good friend Zach Young, taking on the Screaming Eagles at Mid-Lakes. That'll be around 5:30-ish. And then the nightcap, Minders Academy versus Clyde Savannah. A couple old pals that have been involved in sports clashes for many, many years. That's where I used to do my work in the 70s and 80s, covering high school basketball and football, making that trip, as Jeff talked about, over the bridge into Clyde, New York, which is second to none when they were tremendous in the world of sports. Football and basketball. Nobody could beat that team for year after year.
That afternoon, the evening session games, you got Lions. They went to the state Final Four last year, right?
Yep.
They lose a lot, but they're coming back, and it's going to be interesting to see. They aren't going to have a team that will you never know, but I don't see them going back to Glens Falls this year. But they're going to. It's a matter of how far down. Are they going to compete for the Wayne County title still? They're playing against Mid-Lakes, a team who has, for the past 4 years, been at the bottom of the Finger Lakes East because it's very difficult. Even though they've had decent teams, Lions has a kid named Carswell who transferred out this year. He was on last year's state Final Four team. He transferred to Mid-Lakes, so they're going to face off against each other in the first game of the year. And you can't make that stuff up. And then the second game, you have Minders and Clyde, and Minders is probably the deepest. They're number 1 in our preseason power rankings. And we're going to see if they can live up to that billing, because Clyde is going to be better than most people think. They dropped off after losing Cam DeSando and Jermaine Bogans from the sectional title team 2 years ago, but they're ready, I think, to contend with North Rose-Wolcott in the Wayne County League. And they have a player, Derek Chance, who head coach Tim Jackson said is the next Terry Brown.
Wow.
And we question whether that's too strong a statement, but he's only a sophomore, so we're going to see how that goes. So if you like basketball, not just high school basketball, if you like basketball, you're going to want to tune in this weekend.
And by the way, we want to remind you, Jim and myself and Jeff, go to the games, go to the college, check it out live. If you can't make it to the gym, then we're the best alternative. Check us out. We'll be on the air like again at 10 minutes to 1. We'll be there all afternoon. and half of the night covering high school basketball. Again, we're looking forward to doing it. I'm looking forward to getting going, and certainly we got a great team. Jimmy, of course, the producer, he'll be doing play-by-play. I got Matt Verkey, Michael Alessio, Kevin Korzaneski. We got the Hunt brothers on camera. Who else am I forgetting?
Well, Brad Connor's actually going to call the game with us because he's going to be in town, so he'll be doing work in the afternoon.
Nice. We have a cast of thousands going to be showing up for this quadruple header, and we're looking forward to seeing Rhett Ticconi and his great team that does a great job. Hey, before we sign off, I know we're running a couple minutes late. I just want to run down upcoming guests, and then we'll get Jeff to give us his final comment about his event. Next week, we are trying to lasso, and literally the term lasso, Bob and Leslie Ullman, good friends of mine, sponsors of this show, and of course, I want to remind everybody that they have the Perfect Game Baseball, Collegiate Baseball League, of course, the Newark Pilots. Geneva going to be in that league next year. Possibly Jamestown, I understand, has signed to come into that league.
Victor's in there now.
Victor's in there. So we are trying to get the Ullmans in here. They have committed somewhat with a small C. We got to see him on the couch to prove it. Bob's a busy guy. 1 minute he's here, and the next minute he's in North Carolina. But hopefully, fingers are crossed, Bob and Leslie Ullman will be my guests next week. Then on December 7th, a facility which I have always go to it quite a bit. I'm sure Jeff as well. At Geneva General Hospital, Finger Lakes Health. I was up there the other day seeing a doctor about something, and I started thinking, they got this beautiful reconstruction of the emergency room. The facility has really been overhauled, really nice. And I thought, we got to show some love there. So we're inviting in a friend of mine who, by the way, is a friend of my wife's, who used to work with her mother. Laura Turbide is the Vice President of Community Services for Finger Lakes Health, Geneva General Hospital. She'll be here on December 7th talking about that phenomenal institution as well. So we're looking forward to having her. I'm not so sure about the 14th and 21st of December. I may not be able to be here one of those weeks. I don't know if we're going to bring in guests around the Christmas time. We may just come in and chat about the wonderful world of sports that we have lots to talk about in mid-December. We'll let you know more about that as time goes on. The 28th of December, I do want to plug this. The Sheriff's Department major overhaul. Tim Luce, the new sheriff. John Clear, I believe, will be his undersheriff. Jack Stenberg, Gary Sullivan, who have been the commanders, the sheriff and the undersheriff for many years. They'll be on the couch 28th of December. They bid farewell in their roles as the sheriff and the undersheriff as of December 31st. We have them on the 28th. Jack Stenberg, Gary Sullivan, who I call Sully all my life, will be on the couch on the 28th. Just a reminder, we are trying to line up Ted Young, the mayor of Waterloo. This got reconstruction, that new pavement through Waterloo. I didn't like it at first. Now I kind of like it. We're going to talk about that. He's got a lot of opinions, a lot of topics. Ted Young will let me know in January when he'll be on the show. And also, we're thrilled to announce that today that as well, a guy that is one of our sponsors for basketball, a great friend of mine, Dr. Rod Littlejohn. You talk about, Jeff knows, you talk about a guy that's busy. Right, Jeff? He's always busy.
I got two of my kids going there.
There you go. Yeah. He's always busy. Well, he's committed to come in on February the 1st to appear on the Weber Show. February 1, Dr. Rod Littlejohn will be on the couch. So we are really looking forward to that. And I just want to pass on one thing. I know we're running late. We did get word from Bob Heisen last week. If this license ever gets granted, my God, they can get license on Jeff Rook and check his DNA in 24 hours. All of a sudden, it takes a year and a half to get a license to build a casino, even though they're working on it. It's amazing to me that how they've dragged this thing out. If, and we think it's going to happen, Lago gets a sheer license. I guess they must leave Jeff with a piece of paper. When all systems are go, Bob Heisen has committed to me the promise that he made about 9 months ago. Him and Tom Wilmot, the main man, Tom Wilmot of the Lago Casino and the Wilmot family business, will be on the couch for a special show, and we'll let you know more about that. But we did get confirmation that will happen once a license has been granted. Jeff, have you ever seen anything crazy in your life about it? Are they dragging their feet or what?
I guess I don't know the story behind the story,
my God.
But
takes forever.
Get it done, will you?
Get it done.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, let's recap your big 5K run. Congratulations. Good luck to you and your team. Coming up on December 12th. They can get on that registration one more time.
Yeah, a couple things real quick. Registration, It's a Wonderful Run, 5K.com. You can register there. Reminder, Wednesday is the last day to do that. For the paper registrations, you can sign up online for the next 2.5 weeks. If you want to volunteer, we can always use volunteers, traffic, registration. There's a lot of things to do. Send us an email at wonderfulrun5k@hotmail.com. Let us know if you want to help us out. We could definitely use it.
Sure.
And lastly, I didn't mention the sponsors before. We have a lot of great sponsors. Generations Bank is our primary sponsor. Bonadent, Eagle Auto, the Hampton are major sponsors. We got a whole slew of sponsors.
That's great.
Thank you to the sponsors. And go on our website, itsawonderfulrun5k.com, and you can see all the information on there.
Very good. And to you, Jeff, and your family, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
All right.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
And to you folks out there checking out the dog, and all of us, we wish you a great, great Thanksgiving, as this is a great time of the year. We got Thanksgiving, then we got Christmas, lots of laughs, lots of fun, and we're supposed to have great weather to have a great time with your family, not worrying about the weather factor. So speaking for Jeff Rook and our producer and owner, Jim Sonacropi, I'm the dog. Take care, everybody. Again, happy Thanksgiving to you all.
Like this by becoming a patron of FingerLakes1.com. Visit patreon.com/FL1.
FingerLakes1.com